to THA Talks, for free thought and open minds.
And for freedom of speech.
Hello, I'm Paul Obitelli and welcome to another edition of THA Talks, the alternative podcast show from the UK. Our talks include news, conspiracies, spirituality, the occult, science, history, art, philosophy, religion, and much more. If you'd like to check out our full archive, just go to www.thatalks.com to listen to or to download all our free content. And if there's anyone who'd like to contact us and give us some feedback, maybe you'd like to recommend a guest for the show, you can email us info@thatalks.com. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the show via our RSS feed, and you can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and many other podcast directories out there. Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. I would like to apologise for my absence and the small amount of content I've been uploading recently. I've been involved in some musical projects that I do to make a little bit of extra money, and it's just keeping me really busy. I'll be honest, actually, this year I've struggled to do the sort of shows that I'd like to do for this podcast. That's no sign that I'm intending on quitting it or giving up, because that's not the case, but I have struggled this year with time and putting the energy that needs to be put into this show, but it's definitely not something I want to jack in or stop doing. So it just means now and again there are periods where I just haven't, and I don't just want to sort of switch on and throw anything up. So yeah, we got an interesting guest coming up in a short while, and I'll address that in a little while. But before that, I would like to make an announcement that I will be moderating at a conference in Clapham, London, on the 10th of February called Invisible Master: The Puppeteer's Hidden Power. This is a conference held by Leo Zagami, who's been on the show before. Some really good esoteric knowledge and alternative views of what's going on in the world, and some it's going to be really interesting. There's a number of speakers there. I'm sure we're going to be covering this as the weeks go on, bringing some of these guests onto the show to talk about it, and Leo will be coming on the show very shortly himself to talk about the show and what he's up to. Those of you who haven't checked him out, I recommend you do. It's very interesting. As I said recently in the show, it has got very political because it's very difficult to avoid that at the moment in the West, because politics is well, it's a very exciting subject at the moment, and very relevant politics at the moment. So that's kind of been an inevitable direction for the show at the moment. But we do, the intention is still there to have a bigger outreach and to bring just sort of all sorts of interesting guests to the show. And so this is kind of covering that, I'd like to think. I'm very much looking forward to it, and as I said, I'll be updating and promoting this event over the coming weeks as we get into February the 10th. Also, any questions about that event you'd like to ask, please just email me, and anything else you'd like to know about it. Anyway, today we're going to be speaking with Larry J Searle. Now, I've known Larry for a few years on the circuit, marches and rallies. And he's been an activist for a while on the nationalist scene, but he's currently campaigning for Britain, which is For Britain is a new populist party in the UK run by Anne-Marie Waters, who previously was with Labour and then UKIP, where she narrowly missed out on the leadership there before she formed For Britain. Now, obviously, it's a populist party, so it comes with its controversies. And as the case, because the media despise populist parties, because populist parties usually represent what a large proportion of the people feel and think about, and the media tends to spend more time trying to make people think the way it wants to think. So that's why it hates it. But without any further ado, let's go and speak to Larry. How are you doing, Larry?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Cheers for coming on the show. Now, I mean, if you look at the UK at the moment, you've got certainly got populism with Brexit coming on about. That was a massive swing in like political perception in the country. and so on. We've obviously had UKIP that have been around for a while now. Now they had a huge impact on Brexit, and they're still very relevant players. Now we've got For Britain. This is the new party that you've embraced. Let's start off with, because I know that you yourself, you've basically, I mean, you've been on the nationalist circuit for a long time. You've been an activist for quite a while, and now you're quite committed to For Britain and stuff. So let us know a little bit about yourself and what led you to For Britain, and we'll go from there.
Well, basically, I've been in nationalism for a long time. Well, not as long as some, but a while now. I'm only 37. And basically, if there had been a For Britain 10, 15 years ago, that is what I would have joined, but there wasn't. It's almost like marketing, when you find a niche in the market.
Right.
I think For Britain's found that niche where it sort of attracts a broad spectrum of people, whether it be working class people that might be put off by UKIP being seen as a bit of a Tory type party. And then you've got on the other side of the spectrum, you've got, the BNP, the NF, that are seen they could never break Middle England. They're seen as like thuggish, whether that's right or wrong. They're seen as more of a sort of thuggish,
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't sort of break Middle England, where I think For Britain, it sort of strides that niche where it attracts a broad spectrum, and you can see that at the meetings and the sort of people you see. Pardon me. You can see it's found that niche in the market. When a business or a band come along, they sort of find a niche in the market, like a hole in the market, a gap in the market.
That's it. Yeah.
I think that's what I see For Britain has done with Anne-Marie Waters, and that's why I joined it, because I think it's a nationalist party with a difference. It has a very broad tapestry of people. It's hard to pin down and stereotype like certain parties, and I really think it could, while keeping grassroots people on board, still attract people that you'd never see. No disrespect to other parties, but they wouldn't even give other parties a look at.
Yeah.
But they seem to be giving For Britain that sort of people are really giving For Britain a chance. And they would never do that with say the NF or the British National Party. They're basically I think they're going to break Middle England, which you need to do to get into mainstream politics.
Well, yeah, I mean,
get into Middle England.
The thing is, I mean, you hear it a lot. Like, I think even UKIP, they've got policies that I think if you're a member for the Nationalist Front or BNP, you basically aren't allowed to join the party. But the thing is, and it's the same. You hear it with Tommy Robinson. Oh, he was in the BNP for a few months or whatever it was. But the thing is, the way I see it, if you go back to those times, you had the Conservative Party, and if you didn't have the Conservative Party, you had this small sort of movement of nationalist parties that had very sort of hardline views. But the thing is, where was the choice? So it's like what you say. I mean, I'm kind of new. Well, I say new over the last few years into sort of politics and stuff. And I'm quite lucky that I look into these parties and I think, they are, whatever party you are, you need to have, it's like what you say, a niche. You need, you're finding a market. And the thing is, there's no one like the BNP or something will win an election because they only focus for a certain small amount, and they've had a bit of progress sort of years back, but it's very limited, and that's why when you look at UKIP when they sort of plunged forward, is because they're more, and I don't want to sound like a complete liberal here, but they're very inclusive. You know what I mean? Sort of to a wider variety of nationalist thinking people. So yeah, I mean, I totally understand what you mean with there, and it's kind of, I think let's address now Anne-Marie Waters. She was obviously attacked by Hope Not Hate, which tends to happen quite a lot nowadays, and she was filmed. Have you ever spoke to her about this stuff and her views on it?
Well, Anne-Marie's attended 2 meetings that I've kind of chaired. I spoke to her briefly, but so many people want to speak to her that you don't want to crowd her. I've not spoken to her personally about that issue, about being attacked by Hope Not Hate, but she's a smart lady. She was expecting it. It's part of the course, when you get into our spectrum of politics. You're gonna, if you want to stop globalist plan, the relentless drive for absolute equality, which is unrealistic.
Yeah.
You're going to be attacked. And so obviously she was expecting it, and we were all expecting it. So it's not even it's like something you just expect, you know.
Yeah. I mean, well, her.
It's like going out when it's raining and expecting to get wet. It's just that obvious. It's going to happen.
Even traditional liberals now. I mean, she's kind of a traditional liberal. She's a lesbian.
Yeah.
She was originally at the Labour Party, so she's got
I started going to fuck as a liberal, you know.
And that's now she's a Nazi, you know.
Yeah. So it was just expected. It's not even talked about anymore. It's just something to expect, you know.
Yeah.
It's as sure as the sun's going to come up the next day, you know.
Well, I mean, we here on THE Talks have been attacked by Hope Not Hate as well, simply because we're broad and open-minded to the alt-right and those kind of groups, and we embrace all ideas and let people come and speak. And you know, I agree with a lot of things of the concerns from these movements, and some of them I'll criticise and do that. But you're not even allowed to do that now. You're not even allowed to sit and have a drink with someone that's from a different political perspective, because if you do, you're categorised as one of them, and that's what they try to do with her in that video as well. And yeah,
the technique they used on me, because I've not said I've done nothing stupid myself. All they could do was put me in pictures with people that might have done or said silly things in the past. And so there's, you know, here's photos with me with Mr. X and Mr. Y.
Yeah.
You know, they've done it. You know, say one about Corbyn. They've done it with Corbyn. He had pictures with certain IRA people, and that's a technique they do.
Yeah.
You know, you can't know every single person's political background when you're in a photo with them.
Yeah.
You know, I've got photos where I'm with certain people in certain pubs, and they're arch communists. I know that for a fact because they tell me they are. But obviously, I'll still have a drink with them or talk with them. I ain't gonna turn my nose up, and that's their choice. And if someone takes a picture, I ain't gonna. Well, I can't be in a picture with you because your political views. I think I'd look very pompous. So no, I just, you know, I don't, you know, it doesn't make me the same as what that person in the picture is. You know, it's simple as that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. There's a lady that I know, I'm friends with, and she's like East European. Card-carrying communists and stuff, you know. I have some interesting conversations with her, and we have these sort of friendly disagreements. But I'm quite happy to go out, and she does come along to the Tommy rallies and stuff. You know, she still supports Western democracy and stuff because she respects it's part of our recent culture, and she doesn't agree with what's going on with the country at the moment. So, and this is the case. Sometimes you sit down with people, you might have differences, but you'll also have a lot of things in common, and this is what the country probably needs at the moment, you know. But anyway, I mean, let's talk about the party itself. I mean, what's the main? Obviously, the media are going to attack call them anti-Islamic and Islamophobia. But this is a feeling that's stretched across the country where a lot of people are concerned about. And what would you say is for Britain? What's their main drive? What are they about?
Well, they're basically about, you know, keeping Britain, having a sensible immigration policy. A well-functioning NHS, an education system that isn't brainwashing children with Marxism. We believe in the free market capitalism, true free market capitalism. You know, hopefully that will not be, you know, eventually one day take on the debt-based capitalism and be more free market and away from that, more on a gold-based system where they print the money, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely the EU, obviously, get out the EU, but still be friendly to our neighbours, you know?
Yeah.
And they're the main things, basically.
Okay, and I mean, you're based around sort of North London, is it?
I'm based in Essex now.
Okay.
I used to live in East London, in Mile End, and I moved out into that in about 18 months ago, something like that.
What sort of feedback do you have there then because you're leafleting all the time, I hear? So
well, the thing about leafleting is we're not canvassing right now, so we've got no gauge on the feedback. But
yeah.
we've had no hostiles at all, really. We've had good turnouts at our meetings. We'll find out, I think, in the local elections next year. We've got our target balls. I'm not going to say exactly where they are, like for tactical reasons. And we've got our target balls. We've done our homework. There are certain walls that done really well for certain groups, and they didn't even try, and they done well. So you can imagine if there was a group actively canvassing and leafleting and campaigning there in general, they'd do really well there.
Do you think there's any possibility of like a coalition between UKIP and For Britain? Because obviously there's a lot of similarities in your goals.
Yeah, and in an ideal world, you prefer just one, because obviously it's going to split the vote, and it's it can be sparse in certain areas as it is.
Yeah. I think if people,
I think what will happen is that Farage, because he's still got strong connections with UKIP, and he's got big backing, he will come in. I think he's really angry about Robinson being allowed in UKIP, obviously, and I think maybe Batten and Robinson will see what Farage is doing to UKIP when he does come back, and they will maybe join For Britain, which would be really good.
Yeah.
And Paul Joseph Watson as well is one I'd hope would he joined UKIP. I was surprised at that. I thought he'd be on the For Britain side.
Well, I mean,
a lot of backthink level politics.
There's a lot of games played.
Because he was the one who tweeted back in, I think it was September or October last year, 2017. And he said to Emery, please start your party after Emery Bolton won. Please start a party. And he said, don't worry, Tommy, I'm onto it. So when he joined UKIP, obviously sometimes the trappings of, his celebrity, and UKIP wanting him and meeting lords and stuff, maybe got to his ego.
Yeah,
that's why he's done it. But I've always found UKIP a bit of a sterile one-issue party. A lot of disenfranchised Tories and things like that. It's got a shot in the arm at the moment because of Batten, I think.
Well, yeah, he seems to be doing a good job there, but I mean, the thing is, when I look at people like Farage, I got a little bit annoyed with Farage when he said that, purely because I thought it was hypocritical. It's like they're not talking about anything different than he is. The difference is they're just on the streets, and yeah, I suppose they're more aggressive in terms of their activism. You're getting thousands of people in the streets, but they're not. Their message is the same, So I was a bit annoyed with Farage saying that, but having said that, I think if you look across populism, it's so tactical because you've got so much media that are against you all the time and just ready to lynch you at every single moment. I think with Farage, you can never tell. He's a very slimy character. You don't know whether he's just playing a tactical game, much like the Trump admin do. So I'll stand back on that and give him a bit of breathing, but it is annoying seeing that. But I just think when you look at parties like the UKIP and For Britain, whatever the difference is, as a voter myself, if I was to pick, I would feel good thinking, well, I'll take my pick, I'll listen to both, and I'll pick the one that's closest to what I would feel. But at the same time, I'd like to think that when it comes down to it, if they get decent votes, say for instance, if UKIP got a large vote and For Britain had a substantial amount themselves, it would make sense to say, look, just for this, after this election, we'll join together to get something done, whether it's push Brexit along or get a few seats in Parliament,
Yeah, I mean, you look at Farage, he got invited on Question Time a lot. He was invited on there, many times.
That's it, yeah. They haven't had Anne-Marie, has they? That's an inch, because she nearly won the UKIP leadership, and she's been around for a while. She's not stupid.
About a few hundred votes, I think it was. Not a lot at all.
Yeah.
But I think what it might be as well, it's hard, we can't prove this, but they might be using Gerard Batten just to suffocate For Britain for a while.
Yeah.
It's weak, and it hasn't. It isn't getting the vote because UKIP have got more publicity. I've got Gerard Batten at the helm with Tommy Robinson,
yeah,
and Paul Watson as well to a lesser extent, and they're using them just to they don't know it, but they're being used to suffocate For Britain. Once For Britain have been suffocated enough, it is weakened enough, then bring Farage back. And this could be what they're doing now. They're using that sort of dynamics, bringing Gerard Batten, who is more hardline, have him for now. He's coming just as For Britain was started,
Yeah, I mean, it certainly makes sense that you'd have a party like For Britain, because I think UKIP, they've done some good things in the past, but they've also been a letdown in the past, and it seems to be. I mean, they get a lot of Tory funding, so some people think they are just the Tory puppet side. Soon at the moment they start to their teeth start to get too sharp, they sort of knock them down a bit. Whereas when you've got For Britain, as you say, it's an alternative. When people do start to get fed up with the UKIP, if they start playing games again, then there's For Britain there, and you get that feeling because the media have just shut down For Britain so much. I mean, I actually wrote an article on our website about Wikipedia when I actually saw how they listed For Britain as a party, immediately calling them a far-right party. And I was like saying, but their policies are not far-right. What are you talking about? And I was having a debate with some of these admins on Wikipedia. And it was more or less concluded, and you can go to, anyone listening, they can go to our website and check out this Wikipedia article that I put up on our THA Thoughts. And they told me basically that they're only interested in what the media think about this party. That's how they get their information. So there's evidence for you that it's the media that controls the narrative, even when it comes down to an online encyclopedia, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what For Britain have faced at the moment. So straight away out from the get-go, I could see that the establishment really did not like this party. And it's not as if they're not extreme. As we were talking about earlier, they haven't got the hardline views of some of the early nationalist parties in the past. They're reasonable, and they're actually, it's a positive effect because they're pulling people from that more sort of narrow-minded perspective and bringing them up and saying, listen, you're not going to live in it's not going to be a white utopic sort of, you know, you've got to accept where we are in this day and age, and bring people on board that are going to support the patriotism of the country and get behind and create a bit more unity. And that's what the country does need in these nationalist circles. So the media should really be praising people like For Britain, because they're pulling it into a different direction. You know,
yeah,
and
one interesting thing I've always found about the leftist tactics and worldview, that they believe in a thing called moral relativism. And that's basically where there is no absolute right and wrong. But when it comes to that word extremism, suddenly they are absolute. We are absolute extremists. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, anything that's anti-immigration.
Suddenly they do want to call someone absolutely something.
Yeah.
You could argue what's happened to Britain over the last 50 years with no mandate or vote for it. It's been extreme. You could say that's the extremist. What's actually happened? Obviously, many people are like fish born into a goldfish bowl and don't ever imagine something different to what they were born into.
Yeah.
Now they're born into something that's extremely different to what it was 50 years ago. If you want to sort of try and change it back a little bit, or that's extreme.
Yeah.
So, obviously these things are planned, well in advance of when they happen. Like the EU, the common market, it was always going to be the seeds of a European superstate. Ted Heath knew that when he'd done it in the 70s. Interesting, he was the one who made the word racism very popular in Britain. It was invented by, I think, Trotsky in Russia in 1918, I think. Then when Enoch Powell came out of his speech, he like calling Enoch Powell racist. It was actually Ted Heath. We know what's come out about him recently. He made that word very popular in Britain. Yeah. Apparently, yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, people at the moment in this country, in the UK, we don't have free speech, and it's getting dangerously close to not having free speech through legal means, like from being fear of being arrested. But the main thing at the moment is just socially, people are just so crippled in speaking because they're just so afraid of being accused of being a bigot or a racist or this and that. Now, some people can rise above it; they can stick their chests out, but some people, and this isn't critical of them, just people have different natures, and some people it's very different. They find that they're a bit more introverted. They don't want that. They don't want attention from people, let alone attention calling them every sort of name under the sun. That sort of it's very difficult. Very difficult period.
I think that's why the polls were so inaccurate with Trump and Brexit. Most people just didn't want to say it. They just wanted to quietly go to their polls and vote.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've spoken to people, and because I used to be a bit like that when I was younger. I'd fall in for that. Don't say it. As I've got a bit older, I'm a bit fed up with society, and I just sort of I suppose I'm a bit angry with it, and I use that, and it just makes me speak out. And when I find when I do that, especially on this show and podcasts or on social media, you can kind of see people that they agree with you. They wouldn't say it themselves, but they agree with you. be it because, I don't know, because they've got a special type of job that it could really be difficult for them, or perhaps their friends, their girlfriend or boyfriend is totally not that way. So, and it's just very difficult socially. It's just very difficult. People could lose their friends, ruin relationships, even though they can see complete common sense in what someone's saying and stuff. And it's we got problems. We got problems.
Yeah, definitely. And yet, liberalism has done so much damage to our society, and yet they're the ones that act condescending still when they meet someone like us. They're the ones that refuse to shake our hands, refuse to share a platform, and yet they're the ones that have done so much damage to Western civilization over the last 50 years.
Yeah,
we should actually be more condescending to them.
Well, the thing is, liberalism really, it's really from libertarianism is real liberalism. I mean, liberalism is about live and let live, isn't it? You do your thing, I do mine, and we'll let each other be. Liberals nowadays, they just want the state to control and enforce their way of liberalism.
The word for it's obviously social democracy, which is like softly going into global communism, global socialism.
Oh yeah, that's all that. Yeah,
and that's what it is.
Yeah,
controlling the language, certain quangos and government advisory and stuff like that. Covert groups, like the Fabian Society and the Frankfurt School, now Common Purpose, and things like that really have their tentacles in government. Many MPs have got their background in the Fabian Society. I think Walthamstow MP, Cressy, I can't remember her first name, but Creasy, he was a member of the Fabian Society,
Yeah,
and,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's basically it's gradually they're doing it on a gradual generation by generation basis through the teaching system, through the media, and that's how they're doing it. They know if they just come out what they really wanted right away, it would be so unpopular. So they've got to have these secret little groups that they have, and this gradual movement towards it, because they know if they'd done it right at the start, it'd be totally rejected.
Oh yeah,
they've got to control the language now. They've got to control the language because they can't beat us on an even debate. They would lose a fair debate. So they've got to shut us up with laws and name calling and things like that. You always know in an argument who's the one in the wrong, because they're the one calling the names, while the one who's in the right is trying to come up with logic and reason.
That's right. I mean, there's a lot of intelligence on the left. There's a lot of intelligent people on the left that I debate online. And a lot of these people are probably smarter than me. They've probably got more education than me and all that. But the thing is that they're not coming from a point of view of common sense. They're coming from a point of fear of what they can and can't say. And they're probably very smart in looking after themselves in that way. But when you just slap down some good old-fashioned common sense under the nose and say, listen, I'm no rocket science, mate, but this is the truth, it flusters them. And I think what's happening now is people are starting to get fed up. People are getting, they've had years of hearing this rhetoric rammed down their throats, and they're starting to throw their own views back in it. And that's why all of a sudden it's extreme populism and what's happening to Europe. And it's like the only thing that's extreme about Europe is the EU trying to control it. That's the only extreme thing going on at the moment. You know what I mean? Definitely.
They know that mass immigration. They never do anything nice for humanity. There's always like an ulterior motive, and there's let these people in, basically dilute the culture, dilute the resolve of the people, so it would make it easier to merge these states into an EU superstate.
Yeah, absolutely.
It help bring in a police state, because they can rub people up the wrong way against each other. If two different communities, have a big riot.
Yeah.
Which eventually will happen, and they say, right, we need more police and more of the military style police to control all this. Not realising they set this up 50 years ago for that aim. Because we still lived in a mono-ethnic society, better or worse. You couldn't rub people up the wrong way like you could. I mean, that's what communism does. It tells the working class they should have a grievance against the middle class against the upper class. It likes stirring it. It likes to destroy the status quo so they can bring their own one in, which is much worse. Communism and socialism is just total state control.
Well,
You know, and fascism is when the corporations work so close with the state, it might as well be controlled by the state. Communism is one step further.
Yeah,
it does do that.
Well, that's it. That's this thing. I mean, people. I mean, I'm a Democrat. I think democracy has shown some fantastic progress, and it's been generally been. It's not perfect, but it's been a good idea. But when people, these lefties, sort of, oh, he's a fascist. He's a fascist. Fascism, yeah, it's a dictatorship, and most people don't support dictatorships. But communism is a bigger dictatorship, and they get out of it by saying, no, it's not, because the plan is, in the end, that the state won't exist, the money won't exist. And that's just like, that's the sweets that the Pied Piper is waving in front of the kid's nose, saying, come on with it, come with me, give us everything, give us control of every possible thing we can control, and then we'll suddenly just magic into this utopia, you know what I mean? Whereas where fascism is just a bit more honest about it. It's like, no, we're just going to tell everyone what to do and make sure we'll keep an eye on it. And, you know, it's not an ideology that I think is perfect, but it's actually more honest than communism. But yeah, it's used as the swear word to smash people with. But communism is the full Monty, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's why the international bankers have sponsored that form of rule in so many parts of the world. You know, there's a book I recommend people should read on that. It's Call It Conspiracy by Larry Abraham.
Yeah. Really
goes in to how the international bankers in America, you know, the symbolism of capitalism, you know, or not the sort of not free market capitalism, or, you know, debt-based capitalism. How they funded Russia and the Soviet Union. It's a really good book, and I recommend it to anyone. It's Call It Conspiracy by Larry Abraham. It's a really good book. I read it about 6 years ago. It's a real eye-opener.
Oh, well, I have to check that one out. But of course, talking of fascism as well, there's some describe fascism as when corporations come together with the government to form power. And there's something going on in Europe with that, isn't that what the EU does? You know what I mean? It's like by that definition, the EU is pretty much fascist.
There's less about fascism, but you know, you've got people that were unelectable over it, like Neil Kinnock, and there he is, unelectable socialist in the EU, getting thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
And you know, and no one's elected him, and there he is. You know, Heseltine there as well, which shows it goes across the whole spectrum, socialist, you know, aristocrat, Heseltine. So you know, absolutely. So it shows you that, you know, the parties sometimes work hand in hand.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, at the moment, it seems like the EU are our government. That's what's been revealed at the moment. Theresa May is just working for the EU, and it's actually quite scary. I mean, we all suspected it, but what she's done recently, it's very, very disturbing. But for Britain, what is the inside feeling at the moment with Brexit, with Theresa May, what she's doing? Have you spoken to Anne-Marie about that situation? Or, what's the general feeling from the party at the moment? Where are we heading? Are things going badly? Or is Brexit going to happen? Is it not going to happen? What do you think?
It's basically, like everyone's saying, it's not really a Brexit, is it? It's this deal that's basically kept us in the EU. They've still got control over our borders. She's saying that's not going to happen. We're still going to pay some money towards the EU still. It's basically not a true Brexit.
No, not at all.
And we never thought it would be, because she was a Remainer from the start. If they really wanted Brexit, they would have put someone like David Davis in. He's one of the few mainstream politicians, I think, that has got any backbone. And he's not a career politician either. You know, he was in the army. He's come from a tough background, and he's not one of these career politicians. He's not a sycophant. May, I think, will go down as probably the worst prime minister this country's ever had.
Oh yeah, I mean, the last general election, she was absolutely appalling. I mean, she didn't even offer to debate the leader of the opposition. You know, it's like,
we were talking about earlier about Batten being put there for that function of suffocating for Britain. She could be well being put there. Obviously, no one voted for her either, did they? I don't think she could win an election. She was put there for, I think, basically suffocate Brexit and have a weak deal.
Yeah,
I think, you know.
So
I was going to say also, when I said working hand in hand, all you've got to do is look at the Bilderberg invitation list each year, and you'll see Labour and Conservative on the invite list. You know.
What do you predict is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen then?
With concerning Brexit,
Yeah, where are we going from here then? How's it going to unfold?
there will just be UKIP will definitely get a shot in the arm from this, and they will really be pushing for a better deal for Britain. It will basically go along the lines of the Tories sold out Britain. A lot of people will be angry with them, and I think UKIP may well get a big vote because of this.
Maybe that's really what For Britain need, really, for Brexit to be over, is somewhat, one way or another, get it out the way, because it seems to be just occupying British politics at the moment. Brexit is always a factor.
The EU is a very special topic, because it's when politicians can't dilly-daddle and stay on the fence. They've got to say one or the other. I mean, Thatcher was taken out because of the EU, wasn't she? Because she was anti-EU, and the pro-EU that took her out.
Yeah.
John Major, I remember him saying, "The bastards are out to get me," I think he said, quote, because of the EU. David Cameron left because of the EU. It's the strongest issue, because so much planning has gone into the EU. How far back depends what book you read. How far back this conspiracy? I won't call it a conspiracy. Yeah. It has to be. Not one person done. There's more than one person has conspired to get this EU superstate underway. How far back it goes is anyone's guess. Yeah. Depends. As I said, it depends what book you read. So they're not going to let it go lightly, are they? But money's been invested, and losing Britain's a big piece of the puzzle. They don't want to lose Britain, and it's like Denmark and Ireland. They kept giving them the same referendum, so they gave them the right answer. They wouldn't accept their answer if it weren't what they liked. They've changed, the Lisbon Treaty as well, things like that. They just changed the names of things and changed the documents and the legislation, and just say something new, but it's really just the same as what it was. But they just changed a few little things, and that's how they do. That's how they do things.
Absolutely. And what gets me as well is you get a lot of these kind of Labour voters going on about the Tories and austerity, and then they're supporting the EU. And I'm like, the EU are the biggest, they've got this big club called austerity that they bang with every sort of, the bigger states in Europe. Italy at the moment, they're telling them what to do with their budget, where Italy are desperate to get the young people jobs out there and stuff and invest in the country. And they've got the EU telling them they can't do it. They've pushed austerity on Spain, on Greece. And then now we've got this pro-EU group in the Tory party that have been pushing austerity on the country. Anyone going to put two and two together here or not? The powers of the EU, they're using austerity, which has been pushed in all the big states around Europe, and they're sitting there championing the EU as if they're going to save them from the Tories. I mean, wake up.
I remember when Italy was really suffering, and the EU installed all them technocrats over there, from the EU to rule Italy.
Yeah.
Spain had something similar, but they've both gone different directions. That'd be very interesting, because Spain's gone the more EU pandering socialist way, whereas Italy's gone for more anti-EU nationalist. It'd be very interesting to see the fortunes of them two countries. I'm pretty sure it'll be Italy that has the better fortunes than Spain.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, it's you help others after you help yourself. And that's the West is normally quite charitable to other countries, and of course we should all try to make the world a better place and to do it, but you've got to do it sensibly. You've got to get your house in order first, so that you're in a good position where you are creating wealth and a happy, strong country, and then you help others, and that's very healthy, and I'm all for that. But this anarchistic way of looking at it, as if and self-loathing, as if we should sacrifice ourselves because we're so Europeans are so bad of what they've done in the past. Every trick in the book thrown at us to make us give up everything about what our ancestors have done for us and this and that. It's just not the way to go about it. And it's amazing how you can see someone like this Salvini, I think his name's Salvini in Italy. He just says things like, we've got Italians on the streets. We're going to give them our money first before anyone else. And people generally look at that and think it's unkind and not very nice. It's like as if you're treading over your own child to help another one. Okay, you're helping a child, but you're treading over your own. Where's the moralistic value in that? That's really bad.
It's like you've got a sort of feminine, floppy sort of altruism that wants to take care of the whole world, in an unlogical way, emotional way.
Yeah.
You need a more masculine altruism, not to do it, as you said, more logically, more step by step.
Take care of business. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned like about the European history and like our empire and stuff, but you look at in history where you got the Moors, the North African Moors that enslaved Spain. I think for nearly a century.
Yeah.
They wanted like a certain amount of virgin women of Spain as like for their harems. You've got Attila the Huns, they're Asiatic. You've got the Mongols, Genghis Khan and the Mongols, and the Great Wall of China was built to keep them out.
Yeah.
They had an empire. So, so many civilizations have built empires. Some are just better at it than others. With shipbuilding, technology and things like that. And it so happened that, the last few hundred years, it was the Europeans that were the best at getting their technology underway and organising themselves for that.
A lot of it, I think, is partly the reason why Europe had sort of progressed so quickly as well. I think it's because of the climate in terms of they've had to forward think. You've had strong winters that you've had to survive, and then it will twist into summer. So it's not like this constant environment you're in.
That would gradually evolve in them to be more inventive-minded, cope with it. That's just evolution fact.
Yeah.
If David Attenborough came on the show and he said one species of this certain animal is smarter than this one because of this environment that it evolved in for thousands of years, people just rub their chin and accept it. You say the same thing about humans.
If there are a certain group of people on Earth that are striving forward and doing better, then yeah, they should be responsible for advising the rest and stuff. If we're all one big human family, like the globalists are all saying, we're all one, then people should embrace a group that's doing so well and say, oh, look at them, look, they've just invented that's going to be great for humanity. Well done, guys. Not kind of, you're acting superior, You
can't say that to leftists because they don't come out of arguments. They come up with platitudes. So they look at you and say, you can't say one culture's better than another. All cultures are equal, and they've got no logic to it. It's just a platitude that they come out with, and roll out, and it sounds good and it sounds nice, And that's what that's what they will do. They'll come out of a platitude.
Well, this is what Donald Trump did, and this is why I sometimes warm to Donald Trump, and that's when he said something about the shithole countries. All the lefties were basically saying, oh, you can't say that and everything, when the last few years they've been saying, oh, we've got to let them all in, their countries are falling to bits. So it's like, well, which one is it then? And these kind of contradictions that come from them, it's like
the Huffington Post. It says something about the pilgrims were rapers and murderers, and then it says, oh, the refugees are just like the pilgrims, let them in.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, if there are genuine refugees that need help, fair enough, but there's different ways of doing that.
The Yemen right now, how Saudi Arabia is treating the people of Yemen.
Oh yeah, that's disgusting.
Also, the Saudi Arabians are part of the pact there with Israel and Saudi Arabia, what I call the Babylonian Brotherhood there.
Yeah.
They're off limits. How they treat women there, and how they treat homosexuals there. It's not talked about Saudi Arabia, but Russia, because it doesn't want militant homosexual agenda forced on kids like 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. It's Putin's Russia that's seen as like this homophobic state, but Saudi Arabia, you can't talk about their way, it's off limits.
That's right, yeah.
Because they're part of the pact.
Yeah. People are waking up, and that's why the EU are starting to try to clamp down on the internet and stuff. We're living exciting times as well as worrying times, but I
thought it was brilliant when a lot of people criticise the alt-right and they say, oh, they're the alt-right, they're not the real thing. I think what they've done is they're really, because I think a lot of the old right didn't have the savvy to really, because humour is such a powerful thing, and the alt-right used humour so brilliantly against the left, and it was an open goal. It's been an open goal for years, and finally someone that's starting taking pot shots at that goal, which is like the left-wing idiocy, illogicalness, its hypocriticalness. Paul Joseph Watson, Lawrence Southern, Milo Yiannopoulos. People say, oh, they're not the real deal, blah blah blah, but they've done such a good job in really opening up the left. Stephen Crowder's another one.
Yeah.
He does a really good show right now called Change My Mind.
Yeah.
He say like he believes in a certain thing like gun rights or there's only two genders, and he'll challenge people on campuses. And some of them really get upset when he beats them in a debate because they just can't. A lot of them just can't debate what they can do chatting.
Well, that's it. I mean, I've always said with the alt-right and groups like that, the moment they start to impose their ideas by force onto people, I'll start to criticise them and impose them. But that's not the case. They're the ones that want to come to the table and talk. And so I support that. It's like you got Antifa that all they want to do is smash things up and stop people from speaking. and groups like Hope Not Hate are just sort of this, basically wearing different clothes, but they're the same thing. But the alt-right, they want to talk. I mean, you can talk about certain events and stuff like that, but it's usually a case of other people attacking their events, so I don't agree with everything that they come up with, but the difference is they'd all come on this show and debate and talk. They wouldn't. It's not about smashing things up, and that's where we need to be in. And the reason they talk is because they've got some valid, relevant points that are the truth. Excuse me, the truth. So,
and it was like what you said earlier about people feeling stigmatised for their views. I think now, there's been this humour.
Yeah.
I mentioned brought into it. People are loosening up a bit.
Yeah.
And there are more people got internet access. And, I went to the Day of Freedom March on the 6th of May this year.
Oh, yeah.
Robinson spoke. Lawrence Southern made a brilliant speech. Stephen Molyneux, etc., etc. And, I think a lot of them people, like me, over the years, has watched the internet, and it was great to watch all these people develop. Like a lot of them, I'll tell you one thing. If there's one group of people the left hate nearly as much as nationalists or patriot, it's the conspiracy researchers. Not the lunatic ones, that think the world's flat or AIDS ain't real. I mean, the ones, the real meat and potato ones that look into the EU, look into NATO, look into APAC. Really look the meat and potato ones that really do their research. And I don't like them because they bring out facts, and the left do hate facts, and the facts lead to us, to our point of view. This is where the facts lead. The EU is a super state. That multiculturalism is being used to dilute states. It leads to us. So a lot of these conspiracy people, researchers, Alex Jones, Paul Joseph Watson, Windows of the World, there's a few others, and one's gone blank, there's a few others. Red Ice Radio, they started off in the conspiracy world. They've been pushed into this, not just by the facts, but also by the fact that the left have been attacking, and Windows of the World got attacked, I think. And I remember saying that in 2012. I don't think it was such a brilliant, obviously it was accurate prediction to make, but it wasn't that clever to make because it was so obviously going to happen. Also, the left, they just stepped on their toes. The left has stepped on so many other communities' toes. They've said that the average person watching TV, they told them Friends is homophobic in certain episodes. That shouldn't be on anymore. James Bond shouldn't be on anymore. Yeah. And they've told the computer gaming world that certain video games are sexist, where a woman gets beaten up in a video game. They've told them that. The heavy metal industry, the left have told them that some of their songs are misogynist. I haven't told the rap industry, of course. No. Yeah. It's just the awfully white metal industry have been told that some of their songs are sexist. I don't think bands like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and Poison would get a look in now. Absolutely,
it's the entertainment in general.
They're making a really sterile, placid, boring world. That's what they're making there. Their religion of equality, false equality. Equality has killed more people in the 20th century than any other movement. In all its guises. Whether it's China or the Soviet Union, this pursuit of this unnatural equality, which doesn't exist anywhere in nature, they're enforcing. It's killed so many people because it goes against nature and natural law, and human nature in general. Which disappointed. They get disappointed when humans don't act how they want them to act. Which is why it gets angry and slaughters them in the end.
I will say, when we're addressing the left, I try to make the effort I use the word progressives, because I think there are a lot of genuine left-wing people out there that would be agreeing with what we're saying now and stuff.
It's very interesting because we talked about the EU earlier, and we said people had to put their cards on the table for that. There was a clash in the left with that, because you've got the old left, the Tony Benn, the trade unions. They were very pro leaving the EU, and I've got leaflets. I actually leafleted to leave the EU, and I got the leaflet off a young lady in Holborn who gave me 1,000 or so leaflets to leaflet around Mile End at the time where I lived, Bow and Mile End and Stepney. And I also got a leaflet. I come across leaflets by a certain trade union, and they're part of a group called Trade Unions Against the EU. That might be the wrong name, but it's something along those lines. Trade Unions Against the EU, or Anti-EU Trade Union Movement. Anyway, their leaflet was actually better than the EU one, than the actual Leave EU one. It was actually more informed. I can't remember the bullet points on it, but it was a better leaflet, and I wish I'd had that leaflet to mass hand out than the one I've got from the Leave EU people. And you had George Galloway was very Leave EU, and all these people were saying, the Brexiteers are racist. homophobes, bigots, Little Englanders. No one's going to tell me George Galloway is a bigot or a Little Englander, you know. And he won't be. No one's going to tell me Tony Benn is a Little Englander.
Yeah. Little Englander. I mean, who thought of that?
That was another interesting thing I found out about, you know, during the EU thing in 2016, was this sort of, I wouldn't say an absolute implosion, but definitely a disagreement within the left, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that when I use the word progressive, it fits that mould of that super feminist that wants to smash down the patriarchy and all the borders and this ultra sort of deluded, smash everything down and then we'll replace it with something we don't even know what, that kind of, that's not really left or right. There are some lefties out there that are switched on, and I think really we need to start trying to unify a bit of that. Let's get the ones with common sense to unify. Whatever economical differences and ideas we have, and we'll always have differences. Let's take care of business together. Let's all wake up and, There's
a lot to be said for certain socialist principles, like the NHS, and like helping small businesses against corporations, helping the family butcher, helping the family as much as possible. Increase the family unit, helping that, encouraging that with tax incentives is a version of socialism, because you're helping the little man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're sort of at that time now, mate. So I know this is your first. I think this is your first interview you've done with us, and we're very grateful for you for doing that. I think it's been great talking to you.
Oh, you as well, Paul. It's always good talking to you. I've known you about 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's always good talking to you. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
As I say, we will be for the 2009. We are leafleting in our target walls for Britain. We are planning a meeting early next year. We've got a brand new venue, a bigger venue, in the Epping area, and hopefully Paul will help promote it, and hopefully as many people as possible can come, even not supporters of Britain, maybe just come and with an open mind and come and see what we have to say.
Yeah, and
we will be speaking. I've got a good friend called Rob Slade who'll be speaking about local crime in the area, so we've already got foundations of that meeting coming together for it, and hopefully we'll get a lot of people, a very big turnout for it.
Well, that'll be great, and maybe next time you can come and update us on what's going on. Obviously, with Brexit going on, there's going to be lots to talk about, so you're welcome to come back on the show and have another chat with us about it all.
Thanks a lot, Paul. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you another time.